Sudan's conflict, described as the war the world forgot, civilians caught up in the country's civil war have shared graphic accounts to the BBC of rape, ethnic violence and street executions at the hands of the paramilitary group, the RSF. We'll shortly show you some first-hand testimonies, but before that, top United Nations officials met today saying the war has plunged the country into one of the worst humanitarian nightmares in recent history. The UN Special Rapporteur spoke to the BBC earlier and gave us this assessment that it is the last, largest, as well as the fastest displacement crisis in the world today. The needs are staggering, and they continue to rise, and all the positive indicators, food security, access to healthcare, reproductive health, we see these rapidly declining, and what we see are negative indicators, malnutrition, child protection issues, access to health and rising food insecurity, these negative indicators on the rise since April last year. Sudan's been torn apart by fighting between these two men. One heads up the country's military general Abdul Fattah al-Burhan, and the other is his former ally general Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo. He leads a paramilitary group, as we mentioned before. It's called the Rapid Support Forces, or the RSF, and together they took power in 2019. The power-sharing agreement that's resulted has now broken down, and it's led to fierce fighting now. Within Sudan lies another humanitarian crisis in the western region of Darfur, where the RSF is accused of targeting and killing non-Arabs, and there have been reports of hundreds of deaths. The RSF have repeatedly denied any involvement in the violence in the region, and they've called for an independent international investigation. The UN says that with 8.1 million people forcibly displaced and tens of thousands killed, these could trigger the world's largest hunger crisis. Well, the BBC's uncovered harrowing evidence of the violence experienced by women in that ongoing conflict in Sudan. The BBC's Mercy Juma reports from the Chad-Sudan border in Adri, and there's a warning that some viewers may find details in this report distressing. Yesterday, 19-year-old Amina found out that she's pregnant within minutes. She will begin an abortion, desperately hoping that her family never knows it happened in Sudan. I'm not married and I was a virgin except for the incident that happened. This young woman, whose name we have changed, was trying to flee, fighting in her hometown, when she was captured, held for a day, and repeatedly raped. I didn't tell anyone, and I don't think anyone knows. The UN says the sexual violence experienced by women like Amina is a defining characteristic of the conflict in Sudan and has been used as a weapon of war. Amina is one of more than 600,000 people who have fled Sudan for camps like these, one in neighboring Chad. She was helped by the international charity Médecins Sans Frontières, but other voluntary groups have also sprung up to support the large number of women who have